12. Finley, Garber, and Harris are a banker, a computer programmer, and a secretary, but not necessarily in that order. Finley is neither the banker nor the secretary. Harris is not the secretary. What is the occupation for each? We want to use tables to help us clarify this. So Finley is neither the banker nor the secretary. Finley is not the banker nor the secretary. So it has to be a computer programmer. And the next one, Harris is not the secretary. Harris is not the secretary. It cannot be a computer programmer, so it has to be a banker. Now leave Garber the only choice of being a secretary. So this is how we figure this out. And number 13 is a little bit more complicated than the previous one. And we want to have still the same, the three person and banker, computer programmer, and secretary, but not necessarily in that order. Their first names are Alex, Bob, and Cynthia. Finley is neither the banker nor the secretary. Harris is not the secretary, and Alex is not the banker. Cynthia is older than both Garber and Harris. What is the complete name and occupation of each? So now we want to make a little bit more complicated table to help us. So we have Finley, we have Garber and Harris, and we have their occupation. Occupation, first one is a banker, computer programmer, and a secretary. Again, we use these information. Finley is neither the banker or secretary, so if Finley has to be computer programmer. Harris is not secretary. Harris is not secretary, so it has to be a banker. So Garber has to be secretary, as we have figured it out. So now we need to match their first names. We have Alex, we have Bob, and we also have Cynthia. So Alex is not the banker, so Alex cannot be Harris. Cynthia is older than both Garber and Harris. So now we have first names mixed up with last names. So Cynthia is not Garber nor Harris. So Cynthia is here, Garber, Harris. Cynthia is not both. So Cynthia has to be matched up with Finley. So Cynthia, Finley as one pair. And now we can see that Alex is not Harris. So Alex has to be Garber, and leave rest Bob has to be the Harris. So the key information is here. So this is a first name mixed up with both last names. Now we know that this first name doesn't go with either of the last names. This is how we fix one person first, then use Alex information to figure out the second information, then the Bob.